YouTube, ZeroMagnumX here, and today's card fight clan discussion is brought to you by Justice. That is, by the Dimension Police. In this video, we're going to be going over each version of the Dimension Police, and I'm going to give my thoughts on each, and I'm going to try and explain a little bit about them. The first things I want to get out of the way are a couple of questions that you might ask in advance, like, ZeroMagnumX, why are you not doing a tier 1 deck? You should be doing Shadow Paladin. You should be doing, you know, another, like, Aquaforce deck profile or something. Or another version of the Narukami and talking about them. What about, like, these other tier 1 strategies that are going around? Because right now, Japan's meta is Aquaforce and Narukami and Kagero and Royal Paladin and Shadow Paladin. Why aren't you talking about them? Why are you talking about this tier 1.5 deck? Because they aren't a tier 1 deck, they are a rogue deck. And rogue decks are equally as important to talk about in a discussion, just as much as the meta decks are. Because rogue decks have significance, because they are the decks that just randomly take a tournament, because the folks playing the meta decks know how the opposing meta decks work. They know how to play against the opposing meta decks. They don't really necessarily expect a rogue deck to know how to play versus it. So I'm going to go on about these guys a little bit. Yes, I kind of paired their stride units with what they might, you know, want. Poor Enigman, they don't have a stride. Really hope they get one. It'd be really cool. I don't care if it'd be a promo exclusive or whatever. In fact, that'd be awesome. Like, making an Enigman stride that was a promo exclusive would be really sweet. I would dig that all day. Like, that'd be awesome. Anyway, I think every strategy in the Dimension Police is viable. I think that only 2 are competitive. Maybe 3. And we're going to start with, like, the Enigman guys. I like them a lot. They do a bunch of things. They stuck to their tried and true gain power, gain criticals. And I like that a whole lot. I mean, the deck manipulates itself. If you need to know more information about those guys, check out the wiki on Enigmans and just read up on the stuff. It is some fascinating card abilities, I'll tell you that. They remind me a lot of Power Rangers and how they work together. Like, they themselves are attacking and helping each other a little bit with their power boost. They're getting, like, I feel like they're very martial arts. I know that sounds like a weird comparison, but I feel like the deck is very martial arts. I feel like it does a lot of weird, neat techniques that get it into this position of winning. And like I said, research that a little bit if you don't know what I'm talking about. But it still stays to the tried and true, hey, I have, you know, X amount of power, I get a critical. And I like that a lot. I love that Enigman Tornado is a superior ride over into Enigman Storm. The reason Miracle Beauty is above him is because Miracle Beauty is something I used to run in old Enigman Rain decks, and I used to play them, so I just put her down there for nostalgia purposes, because I ran that deck before a couple of times. It was cool. It was a side deck that I just threw together because I had Miracle Beauties and I had a bunch of Enigman Rain, so I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And ran some stands and stuff in it. Did that kind of deck. But yeah. Moving on, the next generation we reached were Dimension Robos. I remember watching the first Kote versus Ren game whenever Ren played regular Dayusha. And it attacked, it got to, like, stand back up or whatever, because everybody thought that it was, you know, Dayusha's ability. Everybody thought, hey, Dayusha gets to restand by resting 4 Dimension Police rear guards or something. And then we found out that it was Laurel, and Laurel just makes the entire clan good. But it was our first introduction of seeing big robots and mechas in Cardfight Vanguard, and everybody just wanted to know more. I remember that. As time went on, the D-Robos really evolved a whole lot. They got so much support. And that's not a negative thing, but we're at the point of where we're break riding into True Daikaiser on top of regular Daikaiser with the Legion, with Limit Break to go 3 crit. You can't even double perfect guard me if I find a grade 3. I'm breaking everything that you have, and I'm attacking for half your life points. You better be ready. And we get to that ridiculous state in this game for Dimension Police to where they're a grade 3 deck. They have superior cross rides, you know, hence this guy, you know, and everything else in between. They're really cool. I feel like they're a little bit all over the place, though. Some abilities give them retire on hit ability. Some gave, I think there were a few cards that gave a draw on hit ability. I think it's Dijet, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just thinking, I have them right here. Let me check. Yeah, when this unit attack hits, you may pay the cost if you do draw a card. So Dijet just like gives them more on hit draw. If it were me, I would have preferred, like, I don't know, the Vanguard got another critical or something. That's me, though. I mean, maybe that's too good. But I still feel like D-Police are kind of a mesh of each other while trying not to be. It's trying to, like, assign themes to each strategy. And then each strategy going, well, wait, we're going to borrow from one another, but this one's going to do it more. Like, D-Robos are really about breaking perfect guards or breaking guardians now, and that's their shtick, and I'm glad that they've got one. But, like, you know, good old Die Earth here gets a critical and calls 2 units to the field. So, I don't know. I feel like they're all over the place. I think the Comrade calling thing would be really cool for them, but then you're stepping on the toes of, like, the Paladin clans. But I kind of like that it's in a limited amount. Oh, pardon me. It's like call 2 buddies, and they have to be specific. I like that a lot. I hope that might be like a future theme for them. Call additional guys, and then maybe even like you might have some cool grade 2s or grade 3s that is like when this unit is called, you know, give your Vanguard plus 5,000 and choose a grade 3 from your field. Yes, from your field or from even, you know, and then put it on top of your deck. So you kind of neg yourself on an attack, or, you know, or something from Drop Zone to where you would just be able to find your grade 3 to make sure you break the perfect guard. I mean, your opponent knows it's going to happen. They can't do anything about it. You know, that would be cool. I mean, Dijet already returns a grade 3. I'd like to see more consistency, but that might just be me dreaming. But yeah, I feel like D-Robos are a little all over the place, but they do have a central theme of breaking guardians. Moving on to Zeal, I mean, I can't say much about this because they just kind of cut the support. Like, they gave him a little, they said, here's your ride chain, here's your deck, go ahead and play. You know, and it was supposed to be a deck where you negatived their Vanguard, and that was your theme in the ride chain format. And they never really kept with Zeal on the same level they kept up with the other D-Robos, I feel like. Enigma got an explosive set of support with this, so I'm happy about that. But I feel like Zeal just got shafted a lot. I mean, I get it, he's a villain. They don't want to cater to the villain too much because, let's face it, Vanguard's more about heroes and the villains really are villains. But, you know, Zeal never played a big role as being a villain besides, you know, the goofy episode with, you know, Team Kaiser and versus Zeal, you know, messing with them in the movie for Vanguard G. So, the strategy is really simple for those who don't know. It's negative your opponent's Vanguard as much as you can. And, you know, Hope Laurel hits. It basically says you have 4 guarantees in your deck that I'm not going to hit, and those are your perfect guards. So it really is in this tight corner where it has to fight non-Legion decks. Because as soon as you face a Legion deck, they're going to be able to recycle their perfect guards. And you may not get through with your negative powers. They're the oddball to the, you know, the Dimension Police, but they are part of it. Alright, moving on to the best... Oh, pardon me. Sorry, folks, I'm recording this at like 3:15 in the morning for all of you. So I apologize if I'm yawning. I'm probably going to retire after I'm done recording this. Anyway, the Metalborgs are my favorite out of these. I mean, they're kind of like... It's hard to say that, but they really are my favorite. It's because I like not having perfect guards. I know this sounds really, really weird, and this is going to sound backwards, and people are going to say, you're wrong, you're insane. But I've always been somebody that actually hates perfect guards. I feel like whenever the game started, I picked up the trial decks, and I saw the decks in the game as fair. Whenever I picked up the original Kagero trial deck and the original Oro Paladin deck. And I was like, oh, this game's completely fair. You have to block from your hand, just like in Magic. You have to declare blocks so you don't take damage. That's cool. And then, like, perfect guards, I realized that they were part of the game. And I was like, well, you know, that kind of ruins all my cool effects. That kind of ruins the rush of, like, do I find that trigger to get through? I almost feel like, you know, you're trying to punch supersonic, you're not sure if it's gonna work, and then bam, you found the right speed that you needed to hit. You know, the trigger was really that adrenaline rush, and you found exactly the card you wanted, and you punched through, you found the power, you found what you needed, and you got there because of that miracle trigger. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and that's what drew me to playing this game. Now, perfect guards are everywhere. You can re-legion them in. They get upgrades. I mean, it's cool. I'm glad that they have a way to negate attacks, because then some cards would be way more busted than others. But I think then, at the same time, we wouldn't have gotten to the power creep that we did. That thrill to find, you know, get around that perfect guard is in now in Dimension Robos. So I really, really think Sinbuster is the best. I love it because it just shuts off perfect guards. It's a powerful effect, and on hit, it lets you draw a card. His ability is also not restricted like Heavy Duke's is. You can just use it. So when you restand, if he gained any power, so if you double triggered, all go to him, he restands. He's 30,000. They don't get to perfect guard again. So he's really cool. I like him. He gives that kind of throwback, but he gets it through power gain, so he gets around perfect guards pretty nicely, is what I'm getting at. And I think that in itself, cutting out what they can guard, is one of the best mechanics in the game. People are going to argue me on that. People are going to say it ruins Vanguard. But I think being able to push away perfect guards is the right way to go. Like, I hate Silent Tom, I hate Ragnarok Dragon, because they're make it so that you perfect guard or you die. I don't like effects like that. I like it to where the other way around, where they guard and you're like, do I punch through? Can I find it? And that brings, like, you know, the thrill of the game back. That brings that adrenaline rush. Do we get there? And that makes the game more fun. But at the same time, it also makes it really competitive, because they gave the deck a bunch of ridiculous cards, like, you know, this guy right here. It just, you know, gives him +6, so what can you do? Lastly, but not, you know, shortly, I guess, or last but not least, I guess is a better way to say that, we're going to talk about Cosmic Heroes. I don't know what to think of this version of them. It got nowhere, unfortunately, in any major tournaments. It is the Dimension Police Stride deck. They are all about power gains and power boosts. And that's all well and fine and good. And they're really cool and technical, but they don't really add anything to the Dimension Police. I know that sounds weird. They add the ability to gain power. They don't add the ability to actually promote the strategy as a tier 1 strategy. They're cool. they're specific, and they have to be in grade 3. So if your opponent locks you out at grade 2, it kind of hits you really hard, because if they stay in grade 2 and they're a good rush deck, you're probably not getting anywhere. So Cosmic Heroes, I hope they get more support, because I want them to be good. I want them to actually get a Legion that does something really cool, like give 3 of your units plus 4,000, or 3 of your rear guards plus 4,000, like a Legion with Generation Break 1 or something. You know, oh, Generation Break 1, give 3 of your units plus 4,000, and then you just go, like, make this so that it has to be 3 units. You can't just give 1 unit, you know, 12,000. You have to give 3 separate units 4,000 each. So you can kind of just, like, trigger all their cool abilities. And then, like, their abilities could reflect on him, and the Legion gets, like, triple drive if it reaches an attack power amount or something like that. Like an improvement on Grand Gallop. That's just my opinion. I mean, it'd even be cool to find a Legion that Legioned with Grand Gallop. That would be fine. I mean, then that way you get all the abilities on him. And I think a Legion Strider is probably the next step. So, you know, you still get stride abilities upon Legion. I don't know if we're going to get that ridiculous. We might. And I think if a clan's going to do it, it's going to be Dimension Police before anyone else, because they do big, stupid stuff all the time. Anyway, so let me know your thoughts down in the description below, or I'm sorry, in the comments below. And yeah, I'll have a description to the wiki if you want to research Dimension Police at all. And check them out. And hopefully you like this Cardfight clan discussion. It's about rogue decks a little bit more. I'll be back to shorter videos with meta decks in the near future. This one, like I said, was a little longer than I cared for, but it's a rogue deck. And rogue strategies are a little bit more difficult to explain than, like, you know, Aquaforce. Hey, Aquaforce stands a lot. It does this, it does that. Or, hey, Royal Paladins, they call units. You know, I mean, all the clans have a generic theme. Dimension Police are really all over the place. So, peace, YouTube. Have a good one, and hope to talk to you later, and see you later. Peace, everybody. Good night.